Ready. Time to decide who is going to be the first person to make it through to the first September weekly grand final. Will it be B? Will it be MarineLorD? Let's find out as we hop into Basin.
Spawning in on the right side is MarineLorD with the color blue in French. To the north, it is going to be B playing as a Delhi Sultanate in red.
And this map, I mean, for those unfamiliar with it, feels like it's been a hot second since we last saw it. Creation by Avali. Big shout out to him. He's one of the pro players who's trying to make it to Wololo himself. Does a lot of playing in the community, a lot of custom creation, actually. I think he's got about 3 or 4 different designs in the works. But this was a cool idea. I love this one. So the way that this map works, a lot of open ground in the center, but stealth forest on the outskirts, allows this ambush factor. But it also means that, you know, if you're direct and you feel like you've got a clear advantage, you can get efficiency through playing straight down the center at the sacrifice of hiding your hand.
2 scouts operating on both sides over here. B opting to go for the early mosque. So nothing unconventional as of yet, though. Recently, we have seen players opting to go with just 1 scout, especially with civilizations like the Delhi and the Abbasids. So it's, I guess, a little unconventional, at least compared to today's meta, that B is operating with 2 scouts, but nothing out of the ordinary, at least so far. We'll have to see how he deviates his build from the usual Delhi builds in Feudal Age, because that's something that he quite commonly does on this map in particular.
I actually think this makes a lot of sense for B's playstyle. By going for a second scout, he's going to strip away more sheep. This is a 2-pronged advantage against the French. One, it encourages the French to play pocket ecos sooner, and we know what they do when they play pocket ecos, right? They could just build an outpost to defend it. No, they don't. They walk out with 10 villages and they die if they get raided there. Then, the second layer to that is by taking those resources and giving himself a safe fallback, B can keep his villages safe underneath his TC while raiding. It's actually pretty smart when you think about that deep. Some people argue, like, you know, if you're English, why would you want 2 scouts? It's another reason to consider it. If the other civ needs it, and you can get them to come to dangerous areas by taking it away, might be worth considering that second scout.
I'm not exactly sure what MarineLorD is up to here. He aggroed 3 wolves.
Wait, is he trying to de-aggro them onto the gold? No,
yeah, I think something like that.
No. Oh, he's going to try to drop them off on the sacred site. Oh, come on.
Cheeky.
Dude, can we get bonus points? No, he done it too soon.
I genuinely think it would have been better to just leave them right next to that central sacred site. I was confused for a second. If anyone, it would have been B who aggroes them to pull them away from the sacred site so the scholar can just go out there in safety.
If you ever need a sign that MarineLorD is a cat owner, it can be clearer there. Like, he clearly doesn't know how to train a dog. Told it to go to the sacred site and it ignored him. Oh, man. It's a smart idea, right? Like, give him credit where credit is due. You know, points for creativity, but I'm afraid we don't give points that matter for creativity. If you actually want the point that's going to get you through, you're going to have to step it up and get the win overall.
Scholars, are they already moving out? What's happening here? Is it just out here to heal?
Yes. It should be for healing. Usually you do it
Here
for healing because it makes a lot of sense in this matchup because this scout will be able to hit each of the villages once potentially, drop them to 48 HP, and it means when the first knight comes in, they can 2-hit without the blacksmith's upgrade. So it's not a bad idea to do what B's doing here. He even waited until that villager was almost dead.
In fact, it looked more like he just wanted to force the scholar out there. You know exactly you won't be able to kill that villager at this high level, but you get the feel that he just wanted to force the scholar out there, especially with the mosque being at the back. And there is the landmark. You can't hide it. There's the Tower of Victory. Signature move of B on this map.
You're 1-1. You need a point to win. Surely you just click the building that says it'll give you victory. Yes. Yes, every day of the week. I'm such a big fan of this. Tower of Victory, I genuinely think is being slept on. Like, that 20% attack speed buffer, it's decent in Feudal. It becomes godly when you think about home blades down the line in Castle. Now, the argument that gets made in counter that is, like, how am I going to reach Castle if I build Tower of Victory? I actually think, like, this landmark is just being written off and it's unfair. Dome of Faith seems like the safe choice, but it's just not as good as it used to be, especially considering the longer wait time to push scholars compared to these default mosques that only take 30 seconds versus the 45 of the Dome of Faith.
And the thing is that one of the biggest things when it comes to Tower of Victory is that you're going to get a massive boost to your archers in particular. You can reach that critical mass of archers that just one-shot cavalry much sooner. And what you're going to see, at least based on what we have seen from B on this map before, is that he's going to be very aggressive when it comes to just flooding archers. He's going to have some auxiliary units, but over time, his army is going to look like 50 archers. And what are you going to do against that? Like, you can't produce knights fast enough, and they will melt. They will melt in a blink of an eye because the firepower of that many archers will be so massive with the Tower of Victory.
I think it's an adaptation of playstyle, something that maybe some Delhi players just can't be asked with, right? Like, it's that whole idea we build up bad habits and it's hard to shake them, because the reality is, like, going for the old build of Dome of Faith is the, haha, me attack, click, feudal fight, and win because I heal, right? That's more or less what you're aiming for. Whereas the Tower of Victory build, like, you can reach that point, but it takes extra time. So the trade-off is you need to be more optimal in the way you micro and the way you choose fights, because what you're doing is you're trading tank for glass cannon, right? Like, you don't have as much heal power early on, but what you do have is a lot more damage.
Exactly. You also have to be much more careful playing the game. Losing Scholars is much more painful in this scenario. So as you said, it's a higher risk type of play, but it also has a massive upside if you use it right.
This is like classic B. Not many people would choose to body block a knight with villagers, but yet here we are.
The single Scholar keeping those spearmen alive, and this is what you were talking about. It's the micro that it comes down to. You have to be super efficient with your use of units here, especially at the beginning of Feudal Age, and so far, B has shown stellar skills of micro in this game.
And just to remind people, the way this Tower of Victory works is if you bring any infantry units, so spearmen, archers, later on hand cannoneers, they'll get a 20% attack speed buff for the rest of the game, just from coming in range. That's what makes it so valuable. Something that gets a bit annoying about it is as you escalate into the late game, you probably want your production on the front line with slow-moving units like men-at-arms and whatever. That's where the Tower of Victory becomes finicky, because they have to pass the Tower of Victory to get that attack speed buff.
Exactly, that's what made this landmark very undesirable at the beginning, because the aura it had was so tiny, and you had to essentially micromanage every single one of your units popping out of your production buildings to get the buff. Now the area is much larger that the Tower of Victory covers, so it's a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more effective in Feudal Age.
B's military was looking a bit tiny, but now we're going to see a transition for Horsemen as well. This is going to give him a little bit of mobility to flood out onto the field, and that might be beneficial considering where MarineLorD plopped down his secondary TC. It's not as close as it could be to the Stealth Forest, but it could be exposed to raids in from the eastern flank. Something that MarineLorD's going to have to keep in mind, especially considering he didn't go for a composition that deals with Horsemen.
Instead, he's dropping double barracks over here. He's expecting Horsemen from the opponent, but that I'm not so sure about. Because the problem here is that the ultimate goal for B is to go for archers. He doesn't want to go for that many horsemen because, as you said, the Tower of Victory, it does not apply to cavalry, only to infantry. So your primary unit should either be spearmen, which is rather unlikely for B, or more importantly, archers.
I mean, you say that, but like with the efficiency from healing and now the extra attack speed, there is something kind of brain dead but effective about massing spearmen, right? Is the Delhi.
Yeah. On a second thought, you're right.
Work. Yeah, it's kind of weird to say out loud, like, oh, it's a French player building archers. Like, yeah, I want spearmen for knights. I don't want them for archers, right? It's like, yeah, but like feudal age archers, unless there's a crap ton of them, don't do that much damage, especially with scholar heals in the mix. And the damage is important because if you get 5, 6, 7 of these scholars in a fight with 130 health, you need quite a few archers at 5 damage a pop to take them down.
That's actually a great point, and if you think about the mind games, what do the French commonly go for? Knights and archers. Spearmen, horsemen beats that, we know that. So the reaction from French, add your own spears to make things even, but if the French just keep spamming spearmen, he's going to lose because you have the power of the scholars healing you, and more importantly, you do have the power of the Tower of Victory. So in a fight that features essentially a trinity of units, that is cavalry, archers, and spearmen, it is going to be the Delhi winning this, and it's actually getting very intriguing whether B is just going to go super heavy on the spearmen in light of these things.
This feels like a prolonged feudal that MarineLorD can't win. Like, he's got the second TC, so that's escalation great. But if you talk about military forces, how they're going to clash, especially if they're close to equal numbers, usually in that situation you give the edge over to the French. But I think that 20% damage buffer we're talking about on the spears is damn effective here. You're going to see it coming to play as these numbers start to inflate 15, 20, 30. And also keep in mind the horsemen are important there because, sure, you can build archers to count those spears, but we've seen what you can do with 15 or 20 horsemen. You can trap archers and kill them off fast.
There's a second factor here to take a look at. That is the fact that MarineLorD is on 2 TCs, which, for the first time, it looks cool. You're gonna have more eco, but think about it this way. That's offset by the sacred sites, and the concern is that you're depleting your resources really fast. you have to keep 2 TCs working while also trying to mesh the numbers of the Deli, who have the power of the berries as well. You get the feel that MarineLorD could be much more strained on the resources than B is, and that could come into play very soon, as we will take a look at the numbers.
Yeah, and B, the interesting thing is actually he could be posturing more aggressively here, but this is intentional. What he's trying to do is get MarineLorD to come forward, because MarineLorD's playing with knights. Usually a French player gets overly confident and shows the hand, like, gets aggressive. And if he gets aggressive, you can pummel him. And the beautiful thing is B can afford to be defensive because of this detail. Remember, something we don't see very often. It's not often people go and gather the deer, but the beautiful thing about being the Deli is you get that tech for free.
Yeah, you get all the techs for free, and it's gonna come into play very soon because the eco upgrades are out there already. The mining upgrade, the lumberjacking upgrade, the blacksmith upgrades coming in a second. And as you said, professional scouts as well will supply you with a lot of food that you can work with, and that is what you need to turn this war machine on and start popping out units in large quantities. Up to 37 army he is already.
And keep in mind how much you actually save as a Deli compared to every other Civ. Like, every other Civ, minus the French to get a 30% discount, would have to pay 350 resources to get professional scouts. That's why you don't see it often anymore. But I love this read by B. It's not that you don't see it very often at all. You just don't see it from Deli either. And what a pinch. We mentioned the horsemen to wrap around the archers, but you can see how effective they can be against knights. Difference in speed. They're able to actually gap close. That's why I love horsemen as a solution to small quantities of heavy knights.
Yeah, and players have gotten so much better when it comes to just wrapping around knights and finishing it off with the horsemen. That's one of the biggest things of improvement, or biggest factors of improvement that we have seen from players using horsemen against knights recently.
Good luck with that, sir. Have you heard of our good friend called Textiles? Deli players always get it because they want to win games. MarineLorD is not getting value out of these heavy knights. The wraparound. He's going to bait him into a fight here, and you don't want to fight this. Remember, the attack speed buff is now there for the archers and the spearmen. B up to 15 archers now. MarineLorD cannot afford to take a fight. Pinch on the horsemen. They will peel back for the moment. That's going to reveal the underbelly, and now the retreat comes in. The problem here, MarineLorD, he has to run, but he can't because of how slow his army is. Wraparound comes in, horsemen re-engage. B will sacrifice the cavalry, but in return, he will clean up the entirety of MarineLorD's army.
And those are high-value targets as well. Many of the knights falling as well. Looks like 3 of them will be enough to disengage, but still, look at the numbers. Down to 17 he is, and B still standing strong at 44. And as you said, he sacrificed the cavalry, but he doesn't need that, because his goal is to go spears and archers powered by the Tower of Victory.
That's what I was trying to highlight, right? Is that he was waiting. He was playing defensive intentionally. Not a lot of players will do this because usually when you invest in a lot of military, you want to do stuff with it, right? You want to flex it. It's almost like you've been hitting the gym every day for 5 months and, you know, your biceps are starting to show a little bit. So you really want to flex it off. Instead, B's here, like, his end goal is to beat up the bully that's been bullying him for years, right? So he hides the fact that he's been getting butch. He wears padded giant coats, right, for a whole year, and when he comes in, when he gets challenged to a fight by that bully, he decks him out in 1. That's why he's playing so patient. You can see the advantage it gives him now, and now B will move out into the midfield aggressively, looking for that second sacred site.
It's the escalation potential, right? Trying to pick off the scholars is MarineLorD, but he's not gonna be able to. The heal is there, the spearman nearby.
And now they'll reward each other with a little bit of free healing, free healthcare in the Deli Empire here. It's just so infuriating. Like, he has to get some value now. His knights have to delay, because he knows it's not just about the sacred site anymore. With the amount of losses he just accrued, and with the size of B's army, he could now move towards MarineLorD's base and be the aggressor.
The concern here for MarineLorD is that his only response to this one is gonna be archers of his own, but look at the numbers. 31 to only 9. MarineLorD also lacking some blacksmith upgrades, and most critically, he won't have the boost of the Tower of Victory. It's not just gonna be pure numbers advantage for B, it's also gonna be a quality advantage here.
Those numbers are deceptive as well. You have to take that archer count and just, like, kind of add an extra 20% to their firepower. Like, their effective HP is also getting an extra percentage there because of the healing of the scholars. Like, this is the thing about this Deli build. It doubles down on what the Deli are good at, which is taking you into a fight and saying these numbers are deceptive. They are not as they appear because of these variables. Usually, it's always just been about the healing, but now with the attack speed variance as well, it strikes an even bigger level of deception there that MarineLorD has to always gauge.
And the thing is that MarineLorD can't afford to move out right now. He needs to wait for the fight himself, but it also means that he forfeits 2 of those sacred sites, though doing a good job with the raids at least, doing some eco damage to B.
Yeah, but B's responsible here. He understands when you want to be a greedy boy like this, you have to set up outposts. You're not the French. You can't just say, I go here for free. Then again, the French can't go anywhere for free in this game. Wolves had to be set up on the south side to protect him. In the meantime, the pushing comes out as B has now researched siege engineering. He's ready to start getting into ramps.
And off he goes, pushes in with the archers as well. Nice charging in, only a handful of them on the playing field, KP.
He doesn't care. He's like, oh, great, you've hit one of my archers. Let me just pat their head better. You gave them a boo-boo, but don't worry, Mama's here to heal it. 12 Mamas are available to beat. Those 12 Scholars are the MVPs here. It makes it impossible for MarineLorD to make a den, because at 15 archers, he's not doing enough damage to snipe down the Scholars.
And look at that, Knights are just disappearing in a blink of an eye here. MarineLorD getting pushed back more and more. 25 army against 75 here. Triple the numbers for B as he's torching down buildings, even capping the sacred site right next to MarineLorD's DC.
This Goose is looking pretty cooked right now. B, sure, he's trailing 28 eco units behind, but it's the efficiency. This is what we've come to learn about the Delhi. This is what we're used to seeing historically. The military count difference is what matters. Quantity versus quality, but MarineLorD cannot even get that. Yes, he has 20 military pop cap, but only one of them is a knight. And now just look at the confidence. B walks into MarineLorD's base, takes the third sacred site, and ignores the knight trying to kill him.
He does not ignore the archers though, all of them getting cleaned up. MarineLorD down to just 4 army, and this town center is gonna be history very soon here. Even if a couple of scholars go down over here, the losses for MarineLorD were just way too massive. Let's look at the flood.
Call it. It's time to call it, MarineLorD. There's no way you can recover because you over-boomed in gold. Look at his resource bank. Even if you trade this away now, the losses, the stagnation is going to impact you greatly. Second TC's going down. He's now trying to react. He's also trying to prep for farms, but he's only halfway through the transition. And with limited resources in the corner, you know that he's living on life support right now.
Exactly, and the villagers here will also be picked off, so you're going to discount 10 more villagers from his eco, and I would dare to say that B right now is the better eco, despite the fact that he's down by 30 villagers. So much inefficiency on MarineLorD's eco, though.
Yeah, the villagers will make their way away, but now they're just going home to a stacked area, right? This is kind of like in Attack on Titan, when the first wall goes down and then all those people go into an area that wasn't built for that many people. Yes, I just weaved out, but the logic here is you're condensing your economy into an area where there's not room. It's like the house is full. Nobody else can live here.
Indeed, no one else can live here, and at this point, B can just afford to run past the TC and hit where it hurts. This is the only garrison point that MarineLorD has. You run past it, every single villager to be picked off is free real estate.
These archers, they just don't care. The tankiness is too high. He will finally wave that white flag. B, proven to be MarineLorD's kryptonite, takes him down and will be the first player to head through to the September weekly finals.
What a show from B, showcasing that the Tower of Victory can be used to great effect. And as you pointed out, the key thing is that you have to be very delicate with your micro and very efficient at the beginning of Feudal Age. That first few minutes is the make or break. But once you survive that, suddenly it's an insane tool in the hands of B, and he just showcased that MarineLorD had no tools to stop that Archer Ball with the boost of the Tower of Victory. B ultimately ends up winning the set and once again moves on to the weekly finals here, tying up MarineLorD for the amount of participations that the two had when it comes to the